All right, everybody. Thank you. We'll start this workshop session, and I would ask the deputy clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
Here.
Cook, Pennant, Oldenettle, Ruben DeCellis. Here. Scott, Speed. Here. Wonkel,
Here.
Watts. Here. Williams. Here. Mayor Ezzard.
Here.
Assistant City Attorney Salterman. Here. You have a quorum.
Excellent. First up is under the mayor's report is a presentation by Dr. Michael Woods. He's going to say it all. He's a rock star in my eyes, and what he does and what he wants to do. So, Doctor, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me here tonight. I had that great conversation.
We just need you need to come to every meeting, doctor. Okay? I mean, this is good stuff.
Thank you. To talk about agriculture
Yeah.
and production, I would be excited. And my daughter says she always wants to.
Oh, she's always welcome.
So, again, just looking at city ordinances, and we'll work with Brian and the mayor and folks to kind of think about what that may entail. But we do need to look at city ordinances that do allow us to have high tunnels. We also want to look at the opportunity of creating a land bank for the city, which would allow for vacant
Yeah.
lots to then be utilized for future farmers that would go through our apprenticeship program. The process will consist of a 3 to 5 year initiative. The first year will be that they would go through a training program, both in person and online, depending on their location. They would then train with myself and my family on creating a productive farming operation. And then they would have a mentor, a farm mentor, for a year, up to 4 years. And at the end of that 4-year cycle, the advantage or the hope would be is that then that land could be then turned over to them or purchased from the city at a lower cost, that they could then continue producing that farming operation. The other part that's really exciting that we're looking at, we'll have 2 other initiatives. We are looking at developing a mobile farmers market that will take our farmers markets to our various communities so that we're not expecting all of our people to come to a farmers market that may happen just on a Thursday or a Saturday, but rather have farmers markets, fresh vegetables brought to those that are maybe mobilely challenged and so forth. The other part would be what we're calling a farms to table application, which will allow for what happens for many producers is they have a hard time putting together a distribution outlet of their produce. And so we want to create a food hub that will allow us to bring those produce together. We will work with the bigger cities and so forth, restaurants all across the state, and then we would help somebody that maybe the mayor's raising arugula and spinach and he has 2 bags full, but it doesn't pay for him to drive to St. Louis to try to sell that to a restaurant. But if we put it together, now all of a sudden we could bring that produce to our tables, whether that be not only our homes, but also then to restaurants. And so while I was out in New York, when I worked for the Cornell Cooperative Extension, I worked with a program called Farms to Table. It's a mobile application using technology to distribute food from farmer to consumer. And so we'll be adding those as well. Any other, I know that kind of hit the points. Any other questions, Mayor, that you may?
Love it.
So more to come with regards to requests specifically, but hopefully we can work through or with Brian to navigate what those city codes and ordinances would be to allow for some of these opportunities for farms to be in our communities.
Council?
Yes, sir.
You're talking about taking over lots, vacant lots or something. Is there a size of lot and stuff that, is there a critical size to make it work? Or
Great point. And so one of the questions is not about that you're going to have maybe acreage contiguous to each other, but you may have them throughout communities. So a farmer may not have, 20 acres altogether, but they may have 20 different lots. And so that's what we're looking at.
daughter's awesome. She stood there the whole time. She's good. Good job. Good job. Good job.
So, well, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and we look forward to working with the city as we continue along.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Now, how are you going to follow that up, Chief? Yeah. Next up is Chief Mefford on the update about the Prairie Street. So, Chief, you have the floor, please.
Ensure that we keep our neighborhoods safe and keep problems start addressing problems before they spiral out of control and we end up with unsafe neighborhoods for our families and our kids. That's the last thing that we want in our community. So doing an after-action review and looking at the details from the street and talking to the residents, one thing that I looked at moving forward is that in some of our code of ordinances, for example, let's look at rental properties in the community. Rental properties have become a very intricate part of our community. They're affordable housing, they're much needed, they are part of our livelihood to bring people into the community to live here, but it's changed in the last 30 years, even 20 years. We see a lot more rental properties in our community than we've seen in the past. And that doesn't always correlate to just because you have more rental properties that you have more problems. But it's time to take a little bit of a look at some of those ordinances that go along with rental properties. And the reason I say that is that, so as city officials, we are able to look at these properties before they become a problem to where we can have responsible tenants and accountability for landlords. Looking at some of the other model cities that was brought to my attention, such as Aurora, Springfield, some of the Chicagoland suburbs, reviewing some of that, I think a lot of those ordinances would fit here locally with us. So instead of focusing all my energy on what we either did right or wrong in this particular situation, moving forward, focusing my energy on working with the city officials to change some of these ordinances so we can get ahead of some of these properties and some of these incidents before they become real problems in our neighborhoods. And again, not to say that just because you have a rental property, you're going to have problems in your neighborhood. Problem properties are not the norm. They are very problem specific and usually isolated to certain area or individual who comes in that area and that problem. Therefore, if we can address, I don't want to take this as a blanket sweep and overreach and outside of our lines and outside of our bounds to basically sweep all rental properties. I want to have an ordinance and work with our officials so we can have an ordinance that addresses the problem properties, not blanket policy everyone. And we can hold those people accountable and we're able to work with the residents of a neighborhood to address the problems head on. And so I really wanted to bring that part up. Another part that I had initially started speaking with Dan Beard about several months ago was looking into our animal ordinance. Pets in this community are a very important part of families. They are family. And what we need to do is be able to have an ordinance that protects responsible pet owners and punishes irresponsible pet owners. So we don't have problems with children not being able to play outside because the neighbor's dog may attack, or you can't walk your dog because the neighbor's dog, you're in fear of that dog. Right now, we have ordinances on the book. I want to sit down with animal control and sit down with, our officials and make sure that we are targeting problems, not blanket punishing people for being able to live free in their communities and their neighborhoods. So again, I don't want to stand here and rehash everything that happened on that street. What I want to do is, let the council know and the individuals here that I'm willing to work with the individuals in these neighborhoods, work with the council members, and so we can look at our ordinances and become more in line with what our community is right now to protect those neighborhoods and our streets and our community before problems happen. So we're not having to look back and go, we should have done this or we should have done that. And that when we see these types of things happening, that open communication takes place so we can hear the real concerns that are coming from the streets, not what we think we see from beyond. And with that, if you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer. Again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to relitigate on the floor everything that took place on that street over the last year and a half and what we did or didn't do. But if any council member would like to come schedule a meeting with me, I'd be glad to sit down with you. Some have. I've spoke to the mayor. I've spoke to Alderman Bartlett, Alderman Hannett. I spoke to personally, so if anyone would like to reach out, my door is always open for the most part. But I would entertain any questions right now if anybody has any questions. But again, like I said, I'm hearing the voices from our residents, and what it looks like is we need to take some ownership and getting some of these ordinances squared around so we can get these problems ahead of time. Thanks.
Yep, I think that's fair, Chief. Thank you, Chief. Okay, Ange, you're up. City Clerk's report.
Discuss resolution regarding extension of agreement for uniforms and janitorial supplies. The city has contracted with Aramark since the late 90s, and we're just extending this for another 3 years. And there is a reduction in the weekly cost of about $20. So,
Awesome. Any questions from the council? All right. Thank you, Angela. Committee reports tonight. Discuss planning and public works. Alderman Scott's out, but discuss engineering agreement on on-call services. And I guess that's on me. That's one that we get, what happened with the building collapse the other, 2 Mondays ago? These things happen, and, I just want, the council to know that sometimes we have to have our engineers go, and this is kind of their thing, and Hutchison was my choice there as far as building collapse, and, there's an expense, obviously, so. Any questions on that? Ricky, you got anything for him?
Nope.
All right. I'm just making sure you're awake. Utility. Oh, boy. Alderman Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one item tonight, discuss change order number 1 for Walnut Street Repair Project, and Mr. Fox from Benton Associates is here.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. It's a little bit of an abbreviated crowd here tonight.
I know.
Yeah.
All these aldermen are on vacation.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
I know.
As Alderman Wonkel said, we had change order number 1 for the Walnut Street 2021 pavement settling repairs project. This was one that we went into knowing that there were going to be some unknowns there that we got into, and so we did have some revisions to the planned quantities. Once we got into that, we had some reductions in the amount of material that we were excavating and therefore backfilling also. But we had some increases in the amount of pavement that we had to replace. Subsurface conditions warranted that we had to do additional pavement, had to basically take an extra lane of traffic of pavement out there, and so we had some additional costs for that. And then we found some sewer repairs that need to be done, some water main, water service repairs, and then rebuilding a manhole as part of the project as well, which were additional expenses, which came to the net increase change order of $13,236.14. Small silver lining in this is that two of the water services, or the two water services that we dealt with there, were both lead service lines. So we got 2 lead service lines out of the system in the process. But if anybody has any questions regarding the project or the change order, I'd be glad to entertain those now. Okay,
No, thank you.
thank you much.
I think a lot of times, things, this is a addition, but a lot of things get lost in the works. When we're doing a major project by Taco Gringo, Ameren is, and we negotiated for a project that's almost $1 million with Ameren. That gets lost. That's a good job by our engineers, so thank you. Right? Michael? Yes. All right. Let's go. Well, any public comment at this time? No yes, please. Please come forward. Huh? Okay, yeah, okay.
Hi.
Okay,
Can you state your name for the record,
State your
please?
Kay Bergner McNeese. All right. So I'm gonna step back because I realized last time after I spoke, and that's one thing I want to apologize by. When I was younger, I was always taught to project your voice. So standing in front of that microphone last time I was here, I was probably a lot louder than I intended to be. So I apologize. The other thing is, I kind of laid into every single one of the people sitting here, and not all of you were here back in March when we first came to Mike Bartlett and the mayor. So I do want to apologize to you who were sitting here that day. Yeah, last time I was here, because I reamed everybody and I shouldn't have. Not everybody was here. But in saying that, I have had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Medford and look into a couple more things. Like he mentioned, there are some ordinances that could be changed. There are plenty of neighborhoods in the state of Illinois that have things that protect their citizens, their law-abiding citizens. There are other communities that have more stringent animal control policy, and I don't want to say that as in the breed of the animal. Like, I don't think we need to go after a breed. I owned a pit bull for 11 years until she died of lymphoma. Sorry, it makes me a little emotional. But it was hard to say no, that I didn't want to keep taking care of her. And anybody who would have seen her would have been scared of her. She was a pit. Like, she looked like a pit, she barked like a pit, but she was a big baby. So it's not the breed of the dog. It's not even the tenant. I'm still concerned that someone shot at him. He's a human, even if I don't like him. But I have found holes in between our city ordinances, the way the state's attorney backs up our local police department, and the way our Morgan County Animal Control and our police department work together. And I would like to ask any of you who'd be willing to work with me, or Mr. Medford, to correct some of these things, or see what we can do with them, at least take a look at them. Because I feel like my only option now is to try from this side of this table. Because if I can't get it done that way, I'm gonna try from that side of the table. So, thank you, and I do apologize. I hate microphones, so you guys have a good night.
Yeah, thank you, Kay. Okay, we'll adjourn this workshop session, and I would ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. And I would ask our deputy clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
Here.
Cook, Hannan, Oldenettle, Ruben DeSellis. Here. Scott, Speed. Here. Wankel,
Here.
Watts.
Here.
Williams. Here. Mayor Ezzard.
Here.
Assistant City Attorney Salterman. Here. You have a quorum.
Any petitions, deputy clerk? And any communications? In claims? Is there a motion to pay claims this evening? Alderman Watts, seconded by Alderman Wankel. Those approving to pay claims, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Mayor's report. There's a couple items. One is the appointment of Doris Robinson to the Jacksonville Library Board of Trustees, term to expire in October 2024. Is there a motion for Ms. Robinson? Alderman Bartlett, second by Alderman Speed. Voice vote? Yeah. Oh, we'll do roll call. And I'd ask the deputy clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis,
Yes.
Speed,
Yes.
Wankel,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Williams. Yes. Motion carries.
Great. The other one was reappointment of Lisa Haley and Kevin Eckhoff to the Jacksonville Library Board of Trustees. And I need a motion for that. Alderman Watts, second by Alderman Ruben DeSellis.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis,
Yes.
Speed,
Yes.
Wankel,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Williams. Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. And city clerk's report.
In your package, you should have received the Community Development Department report, the city clerk's cash receipts report, the general fund budget report, and the general fund revenue analysis report, all for October 31st, 2021. And number 5 is a resolution approving extension of agreement with Aramark Uniform Services for uniforms and janitorial supplies.
Is there a motion? Alderman Aaron Williams, second by Alderman Wankel. And I would ask the deputy clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis,
Yes.
Speed,
Yes.
Wankel,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Williams. Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Any public comment right now? Okay, consent agenda items, finance, IT, and personnel. Will you handle this, Alderman Wankel?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 items tonight. Number 1, resolution authorizing payments from Capital Improvement Fund for certain improvement projects. Number 2, resolution authorizing payments for the general fund for services rendered.
And number 2, planning and public works. Alderman Watts, would you handle that one, please?
Sure. Resolution authorizing engineering agreement with Hutchinson's Engineering regarding miscellaneous on-call services as directed by the mayor or his designated representative.
Thank you. And utility, Alderman Wankel.
Thank you. 2 items tonight. Number 1, resolution authorizing payments from the Waterworks and Sewages Project Fund for services rendered improvement projects. Number 2, resolution approving change order number 1 for the Walnut Street repair project, and I so move.
Thank you. Is there a second to Alderman Bartlett? You've heard the items under the consent agenda. Is there any you wish to pull for further discussion? Seeing none, I would ask the deputy clerk to please call roll.
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis,
Yes.
Speed,
Yes.
Wankel,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Williams. Yes.
Well, thank you. Any old business this evening? No old business. Any new business? Let's 6:37. We gotta keep it going till at least 7, okay? Jeff's gotta earn his paycheck here. Come on, Jeff. We'd like to thank Dr. Woods for coming and your daughter. That's awesome. You come back anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Also to the folks on Prairie Street, we hear you and we'll do the best we can. Who else? Adam, you got anything? Want to give an update?
Park's getting cleaned up.
Yeah,
Finally getting all the
yeah, we
trees
took it,
cleaned
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Took a big old hit out there.
All right. All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Alderman Wankel, second by Alderman Speed, we are adjourned.